All right, hello there and welcome to the Modern Firm Practices Show. I'm Brad Turville, and this week we're looking at key challenges for small firms. And so when I say small firms, I'm really talking about 1 and 2 partner firms. And I've got 5 key challenges that I commonly see. And then we're going to look at the opportunities for growth and leverage. I've got 5 of them as well to share. And so if you're a small firm, you're 1 or 2, look, this is even going to apply to 3 and 4 or maybe 5 partner firms, that you are probably going to resonate with 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even all 5 of these key challenges, just because so many firms have these exact same problems. And I'm going to share a couple of opportunities how you can look at things a little bit differently and perhaps why you're facing these problems. So I'm going to draw something for you, but it starts with a low effective charge out rate, okay, or a low average charge out rate. When we look at what you're doing, how much you're billing, to time versus billing equation. And that's specifically a low charge out rate for partners and the owners of the firm. And it's for a couple of reasons. One, it's due to an ineffective business model. Yes, I know most of your competitors, most of the other accountants, most smaller 1 to 2 partner firms all run their businesses the same, okay? But it doesn't mean it's the right way, and it doesn't mean it's the only way, and it doesn't mean there is another way that you could run it just because everyone else is following everyone else, doing everything exactly the same. So a non-effective business model and a non-effective organizational structure, which is around your team and your time and who does what and delegating. So let's have a look at something. Very simple. Down the bottom, we've got growth. Then up here, we've got capacity. Now, when you start in your early days, you're going to be up here. You've got heaps of capacity, but you're still really small. What happens over time? And it happens really quickly, is that your capacity goes down to nothing, but the business has grown. Now, I know it looks pretty linear, and that's because it's almost literally how it happens. As the business grows, your capacity and your time goes back to nothing. And that's pretty much because you as the owner, you just keep taking on everything. You're taking on all the new clients, you're doing all the technical work for all the new clients, you're then trying to handle all of the queries from those clients, you're trying to do all of your billing, you're chasing up all of the billing, you're trying to get your WIP under control, you're trying to get your debtors under control. And as this starts to happen, certain things start to fall to the wayside. Now, what you've got now is you've got a business where you're very busy, but it's super reliant on you, and you've got no capacity to go to that other level. And so by now, you might have hired 1 or 2 people, so your profit might have taken a bit of a dip, but you're stuck. And it's just due to how you've set up the business model and the organizational structure. A lot of small 1 to 2 partner firms have a history or maybe legacy of low-paying clients. So you've now got all of this growth, but it's all from low-margin clients. But there's probably also going to be within there, hidden, probably not even on the P&L and balance sheet, maybe discounting, because you just don't even capture the discount, but it's there, but you don't capture it. And what does that do? Discounting still gives the client all of the value, and it gives you nothing. And matched along with discounting is scope stretch, where again, you're giving the client more value and you get nothing. That doesn't have this situation here at all. You could probably also throw in there write-offs as well. Again, what does that do? It gives the client value, it gives you nothing. Can you see a little bit of a pattern here? So, history of low-paying clients. Number 3, poor cash flow due to a lack of controls around debtors and WIP. Now, I get the irony here, your accountants, this is purely cash flow related. This should be the last problem on your list, but it's not. I see it all the time. It's actually really easily fixed, ridiculously easy. You even know how this is your thing. Then why does it even make the top 5? It should be at the bottom of the top 500. And what I'm seeing now, a lot of firms are starting to get better at this, but there's still a lot of firms that are terrible at it. And it's just because we've always done it this way attitude. There's now, new pricing and packaging and terms of trade policies and strategies you can put in place. There's now some technology where you can easily collect payments and even ask for payment up front. And that's becoming more widespread in the industry, which I like to see. Because if we look at something like getting paid up front, suddenly debtors and WIP don't become a problem. Tracking time now is more around productivity per person, per job, per product than it is tracking time to work out what the price is. So controls around debtors and WIP. And number 4, difficulty getting team buy-in and accountability. This is, again, just going to be a lack of culture around change. Also, we've always done an attitude of we've always done things like this, so why are we changing and why do we need to change? But this comes from the top, and the fish rots from the head down. So it needs to be led by the partners and the senior leaders about change, and it needs to be over communicated, and you need to start to bring in a culture of change, a culture of innovation, a culture of doing things maybe a bit different, a culture of doing things maybe a little bit better, and just getting your team involved and communicating, perhaps even over communicating to them where we are, and more so where we're going, why we're going there, what it means for you and what it means for our clients, and having those types of meetings and discussions and keeping the team on top. And delivering, number 5 is delivering many different services to many different clients. So you've got tax services, you've got indirect tax services, you've got financial accounting services, you've got cash flows, you've got accounting software training, you've got administrative doing minutes and resolutions and so on and so forth. You've then got maybe super high level, super high priced tax planning and tax advice and strategy, and then you've got really low end personal / individual tax returns that you probably don't charge enough for. Big, and I mean the list goes on. I could stand here for 2 hours talking about just the if your accounting firm was a restaurant, your menu would be, I'm just looking at a book over here that's about that thick. That would be your menu of services that you've got. But then when we look at the clients that you've got everything from, even if we look at this, we've got someone all the way up the top that's maybe a big business, tens of million turnover in a particular industry, all the way down smaller businesses, different types of industries, different types of people, different way of working with them. Some of them heaps of work, heaps of advisory, very high average client fee there. And then another client who's quite similar, but you see them once a year to do tax, all the way down the bottom here to maybe an individual that you see once a year that you do quite a low priced tax return for, but someone you probably meet with, there's a lot of scope stretch, they ask 400 million questions, and the only service you're offering to them is an individual tax service. So having such a mix of clients and such a mix of services, add on top of that a lack of team buy-in and accountability around where you're going and what you want to do and improve, stack on top of that poor cash flow, and you've got a history of low-paying clients, and you've got some scope stretch in there. And when we now look at it with you down here, you've got a low effective charge out rate as a partner and senior leader. This might be starting to paint a little bit of a picture for you around where you are at now in your firm. So, what are some opportunities for growth and leverage? The key to getting ahead and the key to growth can be personal to you. It is personal to you. Doesn't mean you want more clients. Doesn't mean you want more of a specific type of client. Doesn't mean you want growth in your average fee per client. Doesn't mean you want more team members. Doesn't mean you want another office. Doesn't mean you just want to take what you've got and make the most of that. So growth for you then might be improvement in your capacity and maybe an improvement in profitability. Okay, they're all different strategies. There's going to be all sorts of different habits and processes and ideas that you can start to put in place to make that happen. But you need to know what you want. Okay, because one strategy over here versus another over there, which we could just lump under growth, might take two different approaches, or they might have a number of different elements in place, but you're just pulling the levers a lot more. This one over here might pull these levers all the way down the bottom. This one might just pull them a little bit, but they'll pull other levers. So it's really getting clear. Comes back to the first episode of Modern Firm Practices, which was on goal seeking and really looking at you as the partner. You're talking to clients about where do you want to go and what do you want to achieve. You need to answer the question for yourself, because then you can start to pave the way of, okay, we're here, but we want to be here. What do we need to do in what order to get there? And you're probably going to have to make some decisions and changes that might be a bit scary and might hurt a little bit. And there might also be changes that you've avoided or decisions that you've never made before. So let's have a look at some opportunities for growth. The first one, and this is going to be very specific to firms that have heavy compliance, a lot of compliance work and a heavy workload of compliance, which tends to be the majority of 1 to 2 partner firms, is to schedule the work around capacity planning. So in Australia, what are we now? We're in the middle of August in 2020. You've sort of missed the boat for this financial year, but I would be putting this in place definitely for next year. In fact, I would already be thinking about scheduling in tax planning work for the start of next calendar year. But more so, what happens when July comes around next year if you could have work scheduled in around a capacity planner? So what's a capacity planner? Well, we're looking at how much capacity do we have in the firm, and there's only X amount of work we can do to fit into that every month. And so what if in, say, April and May, we started to put in some communication and phone calls and updates and processes and plans for our existing clients, probably business clients of a certain size upwards, around when we want you to send your work in. And I would plan it out July, August, September, October, November, and so on. And then design where you want those clients to fit in, and then say to them, right, we've got your work booked in for September. So by the 25th of August, we need all of this from you. They send it all in. You run it through your checking system. Knowing full well that you can start on it in August, you'll have it done by the end of August, you'll have your annual accounts meeting with them by the end of August, and Bob's your uncle. What happens if they miss the boat or they just don't send it in? Well, they then need to be rescheduled. But it now gives you a bit more structure than just having these sort of peaks and troughs of work coming in. It's also taking the client's hand and directing them and saying, hey, this is how it works and this is how we work. And so this is how we're going to stay organized and help you stay organized. Also, when clients bring in work, especially when it's sort of they bring in their folders, it's a bit different now because they send it in digitally, but it's conceptually it's still the same. They would bring in their work and you'd put it on the shelf and then you'd get to it when you could get to it. So what happens if they bring it in August, but you can't get to it till October? The client thinks you've started the job. Okay, well, they've brought it in and they've given it to you. So then in October, you pick up the job, you look through it, and there's 5 bank statements missing. And you go back to the client saying, hey, we started your job, this bank statement's missing, can you send them in? The client's going to go, hang on, it's been 2 months or 6 weeks. Why didn't you ask for these bank statements back when I first brought the work in? You then go back to the client and say, oh, well, we've only just started it now. And then the client's rolling their eyes going, what do you mean? You're just like, why did I bring it in all the way back? Can you see how confusing this is? And that's just because of the capacity issue. And that's what happens at tax time. It's because everyone wants their work done, or everyone just brings their work in just when they've got it organized. And they don't care about your schedule and they don't care about other clients that have bought work in. They just bring their work in and dump it and there you go. So putting a capacity plan in place. Now, there are some changes to a business model that can get around this, which comes to comes to the next point. But what a beautiful segue, which comes to outsource tax compliance services or push down individual work and BAS activity statement type work, and micro business clients push that down to more junior team members. I do not want senior people, client managers, directors, supervisors, partners doing basic individual tax returns, activity statements, and just micro business. What's a micro business? At least a sole trader at a minimum. It's I return with a business schedule in Australia. So what would that then mean if you're not in Australia or you want some more context? A business probably not even doing 100 grand revenue per year at a minimum would be a micro business. There's not a lot to it. And more junior team members should definitely be doing them and getting exposed to not only working with business clients, but managing the relationships with them. That's important because what happens? They get to client manager level. They're now going to manage a whole portfolio of clients. They've never had any experience managing clients. So get them started early. Also with outsourced tax compliance services, depending on how you structure that, you might be able to free up a lot of capacity that's going to maybe give you a little bit of a jump back over here. And it can do it in a couple of ways. If you outsource to a supplier, they're going to have a big team and big resources to do a lot of work at once, which means if we pretend this is sort of July, August, September, October, November, in that period there, when you get the most amount of work coming in, you can send it all away to be done and they've got the capacity to do it. Whereas you would never be able to do all of that work in-house in that time period because you would need a team of maybe 50 if you're currently a team of 5, but you would only need a team of 50 for say 3 or 4 months, and then you wouldn't need them anymore because now the tax work's done and you don't have other services you provide to them. You've now got this big, massive fixed payroll and no work to go with it. So outsourcing, regardless, a couple of different ways to go about it. But the other way is if you outsource to your own team members that are offshore, then you are building capacity without a massive fixed fee, the wage expense that goes along with it. And so you're then able to free up your time to then go and better invest it into business development, sales and marketing, and then just the high value work. Why biz dev and sales and marketing go hand in hand. The high value work and then that says leadership. Biz dev and sales and marketing. Why? Because you want to go and either work closely with existing clients and have existing clients engage additional services from you, or bring in new clients and new referral partners and relationships. You can focus on the high value work that maybe only you can do. You can't get anyone else on the team into it. You can't offshore it. It's just high value. It could be transfer pricing. Let's say you're the expert at it. You can charge a lot for it. It's high value for the client. So, you might want to spend 30% of your time on that. And then the rest of the time is leadership. You got to remember, you have got a team under you. You've got a business to run. You've got the strategy. You've got, getting the team buy-in was one of the problems that I pointed out. You're going to need time to invest into that. And it's not just a quick once-off thing. It is ongoing. So schedule work around a capacity plan. Outsource where you can. Develop a culture of great client experience and offering help when needed. That plays right into this. It comes under the umbrella of business development. But a great client experience, I believe, your clients don't always know a good accountant from a great accountant because they don't know the technicalities of everything. If they did, they would be an accountant themselves. So if they don't know the difference, what do they know? Well, they know good customer service versus great customer service. You don't need a degree in business to understand that. Everyone knows that. And so that is going to be a competitive advantage for you. That's going to be brand development. People are going to talk about you. People are going to be sticky and want to stay. People are going to be more forgiving. More team members are going to want to work with you. Great client experience only adds multiples to your business, but rarely is it, I guess, given the respect that it deserves. And offering help when it's needed, this is being that advisor to your clients and helping them. I've got a philosophy called, this comes from Zig Ziglar, stop selling, start helping. And so accountants say we need more help around sales. No, you need more help around helping clients and being suggestive and saying, would you like to see how we could help you with that? Do you know we actually do that? Would you like to see how we could help you with that? Do you know we help other clients with that exact thing? Would you like to hear how we help them? So that plays into the fact that a lot of firms have clients that only buy one service from them and only buy from them once a year, and it's generally a tax service. But do they need lots of help? Ask yourself this. Do your clients need more help? And if they bought more services from you, would they be better off? That's what it comes down to. If the answer is a resounding yes, you need to be out there educating them that, hey, here's some other ways we can help you. Hey, if you've got these problems, here's some ideas around how to solve them, and then offering the help to them. So essentially, you're leading the horse to water. Plan out workflow systems, implement technology, and delegate to a practice manager. So let's pretend this point here is 500K revenue, to pick a number, which is probably around about at the minimum. When you're at about that point, you might want to look at bringing on a practice manager type person. You might call them a super admin, you might call them a business manager, you might call them an office manager, you might call them an operations manager. The title's just a title. But essentially, this allows you as the partner to start to handball a lot of the functions of the business off to someone who now has responsibility around those areas and who's probably better at doing them than you. Because most partners are good, they have technical ability that's very high. Okay, now it's like a scales. No one's good at everything. Accountants are generally very good technically, which is great. That's why people come to you. That's why you can problem solve. That's why you can understand our crazy tax system and put some sense to it and know how to apply it. But there's still this whole thing of you're in a business, you own a business, and there's a business being run. So looking around that point in time of bringing on a practice manager who can then help with the workflow systems and implement the technology. Okay. You need to ask yourself, not how do I do this? Because you're probably thinking, how do I do workflow systems? How do I implement technology? Start thinking who can do it? You don't have to learn the tech. You don't have to implement it. You don't have to do the change. You don't have to do the research. You don't have to do all the phone calls. Okay, not the how, but the who. And the fifth one is invest time and education in upskilling yourself and your team. So this is aside from tax. You already do that. There's great programs out there and you're already investing in them. One, because that's what you do when you want to know how to do it better and learn new and emerging ideas and changes to legislation. But pretty much also number two is that under the professional body that you're a member of, you generally have to do X amount. So you want to do it, you've got an interest in doing it, and you have to do it. Anything outside of tax, you don't have to do it. Okay, but I don't think that's an advantage. I think you can pull a lever that can really help you, which is what if I had someone external giving me accountability? What if we got some training around culture, around sales, around marketing, around communicating, around maybe getting better at some of these more advisory type services that we're offering. Not even from a technical perspective, maybe just from everything that goes around it. How we run the meetings with the clients, how we price it, how we package it, how we deliver it, how do we get more clients to get interested in it. Since COVID, a lot of accountants have been interested in running webinars and doing very well on the back of running financial, educational type webinars for their clients. So the 5 opportunities are schedule work around a capacity plan, outsource where you can, and free up partner time by definitely pushing away the lower value services like individual returns, BAS, micro business clients. Develop a culture of great client experience and offer help when you see the opportunity or the client asks for it. Plan out workflow systems, implement technology, look to bring on a practice manager to free up admin time that you can then reinvest that time into biz dev, high value, and continually leading and developing the team. And that then plays into then investing time in upskilling yourself and the team by bringing in external educators and trainers and facilitators. So there was 5 key challenges faced by small firms. I then shared 5 opportunities for growth and leverage within your firm. I know some of those challenges are going to resonate with you. I know some of those opportunities might have given you some distinctions, perhaps where you need to do things a little bit more or a little bit better. Please reach out if you would like to know a little bit more about the opportunities for growth and leverage at Modern Firm Practices. And what I do is what I preach and what I'm talking about. I'd love to have a further chat about perhaps how can you improve your business model and your organizational structure. Until next week, I'm Brad Turville.